Willkommen bei der Business Stage. Jetzt unser Thema Heels Make Deals. Und zwar ist das ein Kreativstudio, das sich beschäftigt mit dem Branding und Werbung, besonders bei der weiblichen Zielgruppe. Auf der Bühne Sabina Samuel und Katerina Horka. Willkommen.
Hello. So hello everyone, it's really wonderful to be here. I'm Sabina, and thank you Lilay for having us today. We are here to talk about how can the hospitality industry benefit from embracing diversity in 2024. So I will start with a question to you. What do you think that represents what you see on the screen? What do you think it stands for? I can give you a hint. That it can be the number of sunny days in a month in Great Britain. Or probably, any ideas? Well, the amount of bicycles towards to one Netherlands person, citizen.
Female representation.
Yes, it's actually the female representation, which is 1 out of 31 CEO positions in the world, which is actually 3.2%. So you can see that it's very little percentage of female representatives on a leadership. If I ask you a question, when it comes to traveling or going for a holiday, who is the one to decide where to go? And raise your hand if it's your wife or girlfriend. Okay, and raise your hand if you are the one who decides. Yeah, so really it applies not only to traveling but also to dining out, you know, in the hospitality industry. So you can see that the numbers are very high. 82% of women actually have the major decision if it comes to, you know, choosing where to travel or, you know, where to go for dinner or for drinks. And actually, men do agree that the women have the greatest say when it comes to these decisions. And it says that 70% of them, they agree that, you know, in these decisions, they do have, you know, the major decision. So, in fact, 85% of all consumer decisions are made by women, and that's a high number. That's a huge number in the whole industries, and you know you would expect it to be high in those where you know we decide for ourselves, like you know the obvious ones like beauty, health, fashion. But you know the numbers are also very high, you know, in those where you would expect a man to have the major influence, like finance, for example. And that's because we don't only shop for ourselves, but we mostly shop also for our partners, for our families and children. So you can see the huge influence women have on the whole consumer market. So now, on the one hand, we have 85% of women's consumer influence, and then on the other one, there is only 3.2% women's representation in leadership, and that's a huge gap. And maybe this gap is actually the reason why up to 70% of women actually feel misunderstood how with the communication of the brands, like how the brand communicates to them, because you know the women in the leadership are missing. So now seeing this huge influence of women on the market and the contrast of the leadership of women worldwide actually rose up a question in us when we were starting, and you know it was like it inspired us to actually establish and launch our branding design studio, Heels Make Deals, in 2014. You have, okay, good. It's
Hi, I'm Kate. I'm the second part of Heels Make Deals. And actually, as my partner Sabina described, that this balance of women's consumer power and how little they are represented in the leadership of businesses, and that's not only in hospitality, that's actually in all of the industries worldwide. They are really, really underrepresented in the leadership. So that contrast actually inspired a lot of discussions that we had back in college when we met with Sabina back in 2014. And we were talking about like, how is it possible that so many businesses ignore that power of women? They are not trying to do a better job at trying to connect with them. Because even from our own experience, like brands just like don't understand that people are not all the same. All of us are getting the brand messages in a different way, and it needs to be differentiated in how you communicate with them. So also we were thinking, how is it possible that so little women go and try to do something about it and change that? So that's when we started Heels Make Deals, a creative agency that focuses on branding, advertisement, and women. So since 2014, we've been helping clients to create iconic brands that have the power to connect, not only with the women in their audience, but in general, to actually connect on an emotional level with the people that shop for their products. So actually, in practice, what we do is we spend a lot of time with professionals in different industries, and same as in hospitality, all of them are very well at what they're doing. They're great at their businesses, but sometimes they tend to forget that their audience does not understand everything that they know about their business and their reasons why and their motivations and the values of their brands. So that's something that we study. We talk a lot with them, what it is, what sets their brand apart, and then we shape that into a brand concept, and that translates to the way that their brand communicates, their visual identity and their communication. So we help them to strategize that and make sure that their message is consistently spread across all of those touch points. Since 2014, we've actually grown into a small team of mainly female creatives, and we have amazing teammates, and we actually work with great clients all over the world, clients of different sizes. Sometimes it's small individual companies, sometimes it's large enterprises, and the job gets very diverse. And me and Sabina, we are still to this day leading all of the projects creatively, all of them that go through our studio. So since we focus on the female target group, the span of the industries that we have clients in is really, really wide. So we obviously have a lot of clients in beauty and health area, and also we work with a lot of fitness and fashion brands, but we also do a lot of packaging design for different food and beverage brands, and also create a lot of brandings for different tech startups and different services. Amongst others, there's one area that we really especially love to work with, and that's hospitality. So we have a decade-long history of branding different hospitality concepts, from cafes to restaurants, restaurant chains, to huge food halls, resorts, hotels, and different bar brands. And we have had a chance to work with some really inspiring clients, and we've gathered some insights from working with them that we wanted to share with you today. So I'll show you a couple of examples. The first one I'd like to show you is called Zuri Zanzibar. It's a premium resort in Tanzania, and it's a unique place where modern hospitality meets the true African culture. And the thing that lies in the heart of Zuri's brand concept is the connection of the cultures. It's actually a resort that targets well-experienced travelers and creates exceptional experiences for them, but also stays true to the location and to the connection of different cultures that actually shaped the resort itself. So we worked with this client for almost 3 years on developing that brand concept that would make you present once you come to the resort, like it's about being connected to yourself and to be right in the moment. And we developed the concept from the beginning, so that each touch point, from the first touch point where you connect with the brand, which would probably be online, all the way to your physical movement through the location, everything communicates the Zurich philosophy. So from the navigation system within the resort, all the way to each individual tangible item that you take to your hands, everything needed to make sense with that philosophy. And we've also made sure that it's connected to all of the outlets that we've branded as well, which included numerous restaurants, bars, or spa outlets. So it's an amazing place. I definitely recommend everyone who has a chance to come visit it. It's great. The second project that I'd like to show you is called Terra Mediterranea. And Terra Mediterranea had a very ambitious task, and that was to introduce fresh Mediterranean food to busy New Yorkers. So amongst many fast food chains and Mediterranean restaurants, Terra needed to make sure that they stand out as a convenient way of getting a fresh, healthy meal. And since it was in the States, it of course needed to be to go. So we've helped them with the visual communication, and they are currently operating their first branch in Chelsea, New York, and are working actively on developing the concept into a chain of quick service restaurants that are planned to be opened all across the States. So shifting Americans' eating habits towards the healthier, that's a challenge on its own. But with the right positioning and working well with the communication, anything's possible. So that takes me to Manifesto Market. We've had a chance to work with Martin Berry, who's an American entrepreneur based in Prague. And we helped him grow his concept of Manifesto Market that has an innovative way of utilizing ghost kitchens and bringing different gastro vendors at one place, meeting chefs and cuisines from different cultures from all around the world. So diversity actually stands in the heart of Manifesto Market, both from the side of their staff and as well as for their customers. So we help them to shape their brand message when they started with their first 3 branches in Prague. And we also help them with the one that you might maybe know, and it's the one that's operating currently in Berlin. It's actually the largest food hub in whole Europe with more than 4,000 square meters. And as I said, it's a place which has a high fluctuation of guests from all around the world and different cultures of cuisines, and we needed to come up with a visual language that would be universal to all of the locations of the market, which are actually planned to be all over the world, not just in Europe, and that it's universal to all of the customers that come, and the communication just works visually and keeps its distinctive charm. The last thing I wanted to show you is Sud Bar, which is a private brand of bars by Manifesto, and you can find Sud in Prague as well as in Berlin. The word Sud actually stands for the dust and ash after burning something down, and the fleeting moment of right here, right now, when the dust settles and 2 souls meet at Sud, stood at the heart, at the creation of the brand concept, and inspired us for creating the visual language that is characteristic to Sud. So Sud does a really amazing job with working with their diverse audience and connecting people regardless of gender and age. And they are extremely good with coming up with seasonal specials, with different surprising drink options, and also with engaging social media communication So we're really glad that they're working well with the brand assets that we've prepared for them. And they're also really, really great at discovering trends and staying on top of them. So based on discussions that we had a chance to have with our clients, both in this process of creating their hospitality concept, as well as many years after operating, we've gathered a couple of insights connected to the topic of diversity that we wanted to share with you today. The feedback from the industry highlights the numerous advantages of focusing on female guests. Our clients agree that the immense power of female target audience actually makes a big impact on their revenue, and that it's actually very strategic to try to tap into their thinking and get on their level of communication and trying to relate their brands to how they perceive them, and that it worked out really well for all of their concepts. And that applies to resorts, restaurants, bars. It's actually very universal to all of them. Not only that, they also agree that it actually functions as a loop effect. So it's not just about focusing on women as guests, it's also about having a diverse team, and diverse team cannot function well without a diverse leadership. So that brings me back to the information that we started this presentation with, and that's how all of these three things affect each other. So let's take a look at women in those three roles that are described here in this triangle. Let's start with women as guests and why you should want them in the first place. So we've gathered some 3 points about how focusing on female guests might be beneficial for a business. So the first one is women have a higher spend willingness, because women don't just pay for the product, they pay for the experience. So a woman, she would come to a bar, she would order the drink, she would enjoy it, having it with her friends or with her partner. She would enjoy the beautiful location, watching the stunning sunset, and she wouldn't mind that she will pay 30 euro for that drink. For her, it's worth the moment, so she would be really happy to pay that price, and she would get more drinks. As opposed to her male counterpart, that would stand at the exact same beautiful location and complain, why does the beer here cost double more than the one that I could have across the street at the stand at the highway. So you see, for women, it's not about just the product and its parameters and the cold facts about the product or its input costs. It's about the way how you make her feel, and she is willing to pay for that. So in short, focusing on female target group can lead to higher margins. The second point is about influence on decisions, and that's something that ties to something that we've talked about earlier in the presentation. And that's that women tend to have the last word within group decision making. You might know this from your own experience. Women usually do have the last say. And so winning them over actually means they would advocate for your brand. If they have that deeper connection, they have the emotional way how she relates to that brand, she would definitely influence on her circle and would choose your location over the others. And that leads me to the third point, and that is that women are natural marketers. Women have been for centuries great at word-of-mouth marketing. That's something we're like the best in. And that whole thing gets an amazing upgrade in the digital age. Because satisfied women don't just return, they share. So if you work with them right, if you are able to create a memorable experience for them and to connect with them on an emotional level, she'll do the marketing for you and for free. Because if she feels like she wants to be part of your brand, she wants to be seen in your location and wants to be connected, all her following is going to know. And by statistics, more than a half of consumers today decides on locations where to go for food or drinks based on Instagram search. So it's definitely worth to try to impress them and to appear on the Discover page.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kate. So now, what is it like working with the female target group? Like, what are the differences? So we can say that women have a different thinking process, and I don't want to generalize it, but there are certain ways of thinking which are actually different and from how, for example, men think. And important is that women value consistency. So it's important with your brand to set values and actually stand by them. So because if you are not doing that, women tend to quickly recognize that and lose the trust. So for example, if you are saying that you are a sustainable brand, but then you don't actually take any actions towards sustainability, women simply tend to lose the trust, and you're losing your customers. So keep your values and stand by them. Staying relatable and real is important because the times where the perfectly retouched images were sold to us are gone. We are in 2024 and we want to see real shit, we want to talk to real people, we want to have real conversations, we want to, all of us are different, we want to, the diverse experience is something, you want the brand to address, and so it's quite important for women when it comes to the brand, that they feel that they can relate to it and they talk to them as a humans. Importance of social proof is another point which I would like to mention because we women, before deciding where to go, or even before buying any product, we do a lot of research. We go to check reviews. We talk to our friends, right? And it's really important for the brand to be positively reviewed because it's up to 95% of women actually prefer the word-to-mouth recommendations. So I have 3 actionable tips today for you how you can make your venues attractive to women. I'm sure that some of them you will probably know, but let's take a look at it from also the point of view, from the women's point of view. So as Katerina was saying, women, they like experience. They are ready to pay for it. They want to have the good time with their friends. So make sure that you actually tune up that experience from ground up. And that means we go to places a lot, we see a lot of stuff, and brands are these days being creative and they are coming up with new things. But it's sometimes it can be hard to actually keep up with high standards and actually make it to surprise the customers because there's so many things we happening. So that's one thing. But if you actually make them surprised and actually successfully impressed, you've partially won. So, this is important not only for your guests, but also when working with influencers. That's why it's good, we are living in a digital world, like Katerina was mentioning here, we are sharing everything, and that's also part of the marketing which you actually really want, if people come into you. And it's good to have, it's good to think about this also when, building the venue or, you from the interior decor, making every corner Instagrammable, and so people can share it. And, if you see it online, you get recognized like, oh, this for example, this neon, it's in this venue, and it's also it's really good to have that in mind, and it doesn't only start from there, it also goes throughout the whole experience at the venue, the way the drinks are served, but I don't have to tell you about that, and also how the brand communicates towards their clients throughout all the brand touch points, so even like those little things in the venue all the way to the marketing. Another point I would like to mention is like keep the novelties coming. If it comes to the operation, you all like probably know that it's it's good to always come up with a fresh experience. So if it we like new things, we like fresh stuff, and coming up with like seasonal menus, always keeping up with the trends. Listening to your customers, seeing what they react to, and simply be, make it continually refreshing when it comes to the experience, because that's actually how you stay on customers' mind. That's how you keep them engaged and excited, and they keep coming back. Now we are getting to the brand experience, and that's what we do actually. So the brand experience matters, and it doesn't only matter to women, but to everybody. And very important for brands is to create emotional connection, because that's how, like Katerina was mentioning here, that's how you later, you simply go to the place where you feel comfortable, where you always get something new, where you simply like you tend to keep coming back, if it's like your love brand, and if you create a love brand, that's the actually aim for all the brands and all the companies, because then also your customers act that way. So for example, if I go to my favorite place and there's, I don't know, like the bartender accidentally spills a drink on me, I would probably laugh it off and forgive the brand, because I would not take it personally. But if that happens somehow in a place where I have no connection with, no emotional connection with, I will probably never come back, ever. So that's the emotional part of the brand creating towards their customers. And also it's important to have a cohesive identity. So whatever the brand does, the way it speaks to their audience, if it's throughout the experience, like the physical one on the venue, or if it's the way it communicates online, or whatever brand touch points it has to be cohesive and simply, like reflect the brand's DNA. So that's also important, if you are starting a new business or you have your own, you have to always think about like what's your why are you doing it, what do you want to say with your brand, what's the mission, what are the actual customers you want to attract, or you will speak to. So these are all the things you have to think about, so you can provide like a good and consistent experience for the guests. Okay. So now I would like to speak about women as team members and leaders. So it's important to say that the diversity within teams isn't just like some trends we all want to keep up with, or just like a benchmark for corporate responsibility, but it's a strategic asset. So it's important to understand, that that's the whole loop we have been mentioning here in the beginning. If you having women in the leadership position can actually bridge the big gap, by having a diverse teams and then being able to serve well to the diverse customers. So let's talk about some challenges in the leadership representations. There's a funny fact I'd like to mention. The study says that actually 80% of men will apply to a position even though they meet like 40% of the criteria. However, women apply to a position only if they meet like 90% of the criteria. So that tells you something about us. We tend to underestimate ourselves and sometimes not even applying for such a position. On the other hand, I was also recently speaking to Holly Lynn, who is the co-founder of Manifesto Market, and she was saying that they are specifically seeking for a woman for the leadership position, but they can't find any, you know. So we were talking about like why is this happening? Like what could be the challenge that they are facing, or why there's so few applying even for the position? And one of the challenges might be also the hierarchy, which is well known in the industry, where you have to go from the ground up, you know, to go through all the positions. And sometimes the starting point can be already the moment where some women will hesitate. You know, for example, if they are entering a fully male team, they might be a little bit like not sure if their needs will be met and if they'll be listened to, or if that's the environment maybe they would like to work in. So that could be also, you know, that's why it's important, you know, to have the diverse teams, and that comes from the diverse leadership. So, because you know, if you have a woman in the leadership, she simply brings a sort of like a different skill assets and different dynamics to the team. While maybe men tend to be more authoritative and more, you know, focused on individual achievements and numbers, she can bring there more of the soft skills, like having more understanding for the diverse team. Maybe also some of the team members will feel more comfortable coming to her with a certain issues, or you know, and there can be a different problem solving within the team, and she can create sort of more better working like experience also for the team members, because through the empathy and through the nice communication towards the team, she then goes more for the like the team spirit, and you know, as we all know, like that's how things are the best, like if the team functions together. So yeah, well, that's somehow closes the loop. That's why you can see that it goes up and down and you know, and round. So you can see that by strategically focusing on the women, both as a guests but as a leaders as well, can actually really benefit the businesses in the hospitality, and not only the hospitality. And all these steps we have been mentioning today, they are you know, not just beneficial, but I would say they are essential, you know, to if you want your business to thrive in 2024. So, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And that brings me to our last chapter, that is called Diverse Future. In order for things to change, we need to do things differently. We need to have the courage for that. And courage is a word that we talk about every time we have a chance to speak with students, with younger women in different occasions. And it's something we know a thing or two about. Since we were starting in 2014, we were very young. We were two girls still in college, and we've actually worked with really large companies. We started very early, but it actually led us into a lot of uncomfortable situations, because the decisions in those companies, of course, are usually made by a group of middle-aged men. So we entered those rooms and we needed to make some deal with them or advocate for something that we wanted from our side. And we faced a lot of judgment and underestimation, and there were certain things that definitely would not be said to us if we were a men-founded company. So there was a difference, and it was maybe because at that point female empowerment was not such a resonating topic. 10 years ago in Prague, it was not like such a huge thing. But it changes, and it also changed through that we had a chance to prove ourselves, and our clients and all of the people that we worked with, they had a chance to see what actual impact our work has on their businesses. Because at first, they were like, okay, what these two girls want to tell us about our business, we've been doing it for 30 years, never cared about some brand or whatever, it's not important. But then they actually saw, okay, we are not back in the last century, we are in 21st century, and things need to be a little bit different. There's way more competition, and the brands need to, like stay on top and communicate well with their target audience. It's really crucial today to do this right. So once they saw like how a huge impact on their revenue women actually do have, and how things changed once we helped them tune up their communication and to actually help them resonate with their audience, that was when they started to listen to us, and they started to have a little bit more respect, and engage in conversations with us about how the things should be, because they understood that actually they need a partner that can, step a few steps back and see their company, that what they're good in a bigger picture, and how the people in their audience actually react to that. But it was a long journey, and in the beginning we had two choices. Either we could give up, or it could push us to just become cold and strict and, lose that natural feminine power that we have of being sensitive, being empathetic, and, caring for other people. And we've actually decided to do none of that. We've decided to stay dedicated, to stay sensitive, to stay empathetic, and just be women. And today, businesses seek us out to help their brands to resonate with their customers, the real human beings. And that's something that is the ultimate thought that we wanted to share with you today. Diversity is not about a battle between men or women. It's about realizing we are all human beings after all, and above all. And even though we spoke about some differences between the way of thinking of women versus men, we cannot really generalize anything. And there's a lot of women who could relate to the things we were saying today, but there's also a lot of men who I bet that they could connect with. Because ultimately, it's about realizing that we are all different, and we all have different strengths that we can bring to the table, and we all have different motivations and different needs, and it's important to acknowledge that variety and that diversity is actually what makes us stronger. So we can work in teams, we can use those strengths that all of us have individually different, and by strategically focusing on creating diverse teams, now more than ever, it's important to create real human connections. And with diversity, that becomes possible, since once you have a functioning diverse team, you can create a great experience to your diverse audience. So set yourself up for success, because the future needs you. It's calling for courageous women to step up, to apply for the job, to start that business that you've been thinking about for years. Don't be afraid, just have the courage and just do it. Somehow it will work out. If not, you will at least learn a thing or two and try once again. And it's also calling for the open-minded leaders that value genuine engagement and humanity above all. So be the leader you wish to see, the one that sets example and writes the rules, and start the change. Don't wait for opportunities to come, and create them. Your voice, your perspective, and your leadership are crucial as we move towards a better and more inclusive future. So here's to the future where every perspective is valued, to your courage and your success. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, I have a question. I work in a bar mainly visited by women, I would say 80%. And in your experience, do you think that women, when they go out, feel well in an almost only women environment, or what would you recommend how to close the gap? Yeah.
I think it really differs, you know, there's no one answer to it. It really depends. As we said, like everybody is different, everybody's seeking for a different experience. So it's not like all women want to go out where only women are, you know, like not really. I'm thinking it's really about how you like what do you want to say with the concept, like what environment are you creating? And it's, you know, it's not, I don't think that, you know, it's my answer would be that no, it's not only like the safe environment is like only women have to be there, because that's not, you know, that's not what makes it diverse also. And but yeah, there might be actually some customers who seek this kind of places, you know. Or if you want to add something.
Yeah, thank you.
Why is it that bars, other than other hospitality concepts, are still often your bar is an exemption to the rule, so male designed? I think the bar design is very male still, very conservative in a way. Why is that so?
You mean the design, the way
It's always brown and dark and green, like, I mean, it doesn't have to be pink, right? But it's I think the design is always very, very male when I see most of the
I think
bars.
that depends on the owner, you know, like if the owner is a man, then of course there will be also the portrait of, you know, some of these, but I don't know what bars, you know, you go to, but you know, there are decisions that sometimes, you know, some places don't actually think about the brand as a whole, you know, they are ready to start a business, you know, and they want to sell. So maybe they don't realize that actually the whole experience, the way you know, like we were talking about the way it's designed, even from the interior, maybe doesn't matter to them at the first place because they want to start running the business, and maybe that would, you want to add something?
I also think it's because of the history of, like, it was not really a female thing back then to go out in a bar. And I think a certain aesthetic from that time, when it was more about men's clubs and, like, you know, places where men would come to smoke a cigar and have a whiskey. So I think that aesthetic kind of like sustained till today, and it's like taken as a general like imagination of how a bar should look like, and people like it and it functions. But I think it changes. I think like these days there's a lot of concepts that go against the flow, and they are coming up with interiors which are like not really that you would say like that were created by men. But I mean, it's probably because of those numbers that we were talking about, that there's still such a small number of women like leading those businesses. So I think it shows in how they look.
All right, I think we're done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.